Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. Tonight, very wild experience. Stephanie Kelton put out the Pony Wagon. She put out a very special article in the Los Angeles Times. You can see it on our Facebook page. You can go to the Los Angeles Times, look up Stephanie Kelton. You can go to Google or DuckDuckGo or wherever and find Stephanie Kelton's article today. But the article, as fantastic as it was, and us MMTers, us activists, are always looking for material from the folks at the academic level. We're looking for the journalists. We're looking for anyone that will write material about life-saving economics. Well, Stephanie Kelton broke out the old slugger. She pointed at center field. She went ahead, called her shot, and went yard. But what's really remarkable about this is somebody who I have had very mixed feelings about. Someone who I have not really given a whole lot of credit to because I found his understanding of money creation to be extremely lacking. However, Richard Wolff went ahead and retweeted Stephanie Kelton's article and said, read this thing, you're going to be surprised, my colleague Stephanie Kelton, blah, blah, blah. Now, for those of the Marxists in the world, the Green Partiers of the world, and the Lee Camps and all the other ones that won't listen to MMT to save their lives, those people out there, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Green Party. I'm talking to you, friends that like Richard Wolff. Hear me loud and clear. Richard Wolff is not calling Stephanie Kelton a cult leader. Richard Wolff is not calling her a fraud. Richard Wolff is saying, for God's sake, listen to her. Read her material because it is life-changing, my friends. Okay? So, for those people out there who absolutely refuse to pay attention to life-saving economics, your messiah, Richard Wolff, has put you towards Stephanie Kelton. Because what Richard Wolff does is talks about workers. What Richard Wolff does is talk about co-ops. What Richard Wolff does is talk about economies that are not state currency. He didn't understand it. But guess what? He pointed you to someone who knows it in spades. In spades. Richard Wolff, the Marxist, the socialist, is telling you to listen to Stephanie Kelton. Because we can have everything we want if our fricking Congress authorizes it. Not if we quantitatively ease people into prosperity. Not if we quantitatively ease the 99%, because that's economic illiteracy. No, Richard Wolff pointed you straight to Stephanie Kelton. He didn't say, hey, check this out. No, he said, read what my colleague has said because it will surprise you. It is the bomb. And he's talking about modern monetary theory. Hey, Richard Wolff fans, Green Party people, socialists who refuse to listen to us when we talk about MMT. You know what I'm saying? You folks over there that refuse to listen because you're cool, you got all your gang symbols, whatever it is that you folks do that don't want to learn MMT. Do you know what I'm talking about, those guys and gals? Well, your messiah, Richard Wolff, is pointing you to MMT. Because guess what? Questions like, what about capital flight? Don't matter in a free-floating fiat regime. Did you know that? Capital flight, that's a Marxist thing from back in the way yonder era. Million years ago era. Richard Wolff. Richard Marx? No, not Richard Marx. We're talking Karl Marx. Karl Marx didn't understand state theory of money. He didn't understand that the government was the currency issuer. He kept thinking about how private institutions were the owners of the money and all this stuff. Well, wrong. Wrong. The United States government has set its unit of account, and its unit of account is the US dollar. Just like England, the UK has set their unit of account as the pound sterling. Okay? So Richard Wolff, King Marxist of them all, Lee Camp brings him on, will not bring on Stephanie Kelton, but he brings on Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff says, points to Stephanie Kelton, says, rock on, brother man, rock on, sister. Sweet soul sister, there you go. Look it up. Now, why is this a big deal? Because the people in Puerto Rico are suffering. The people in Puerto Rico are being asked to pay full fare for their exodus out of Puerto Rico. To pay for air flights to get out of Puerto Rico, old Trumpy is telling them to go ahead and pay full price. Okay? Let me tell you what else is coming down the pipe with this. We find out that the Republicans were knowingly fanning the flames of debt and deficit fears when Obama was in office. Not that Obama is in any way, shape, or form a good guy, but Obama, who wanted to spend some more money than the Republicans wanted him to, okay? The Republicans stood in and said, well, what about the deficit? What about the debt? Well, now we realize as they're sitting there getting ready to blow up the debt and blow up the deficit, that it doesn't freaking matter. It was all a crock of kimchi, a big old goose egg of nothing burgers, okay? And so for those people out there who would throw up the Richard Marx crap, okay? For all the ones that say, you know, we need to listen to Richard Wolff, all right? Well, Richard Wolff is putting you towards MMT. Because MMT is the underlying macroeconomic reality. Richard Wolff is an ally, although a guy that doesn't necessarily know MMT that well. So Richard Wolff should not be the guy you look to for macroeconomic theory. You should look to Richard Wolff to understand co-ops. You should look to Richard Wolff to understand what a democratized workplace looks like. But you should not look to Richard Wolff necessarily to understand sovereign currency, because the good doctor is pointing you to MMT. You understand that? MMT. I have never experienced more pushback in trying to sell a Green New Deal than from the Green Party itself. The Green Party itself fights harder against a Green New Deal than any other person out there. I could tell the Republican Party, hey, you know what, guys? We can find a way to do a Green New Deal. And sure, they'll go, oh, you sappy socialist, you. But I'm telling you right now, they're more open to hearing about a Green New Deal through MMT than the own Green Party is. What is wrong? How is that even possible? It's true, but how is it possible? Let me tell you something. I've got some good friends in the Green Party that have been working diligently with our own Joe Firestone to rewrite the Section M of the Green Party's fiasco, this AMI abortion, this American Monetary Institute nonsense gibberish, to get rid of the right-wing economic fear porn that is in their platform. They fan the flames of debt fear. They fan the flames of deficits. They fan the flames of unsustainable debt. All the same stuff that the damn right wing does. In the Green Party. What the hell? But there are people in the Green Party that are rising up because they see truth for truth. They see the depth. They know the truth, and they are not willing to just go along to get along. They are real revolutionaries fighting in a party that claims to be revolutionary, but tone polices people that sit there and advocate for economic truth. Now, how do you go ahead and say you're a revolutionary party if you fight against activists who are actively activating on their issue? That should be celebrated. But on and on and on, the tone policing of activists fighting to bring about a Green New Deal through economics that's not made by the campfire, but made by science. Science! People that actually do the homework as opposed to wax poetic. Out there playing games. I'm not joking. The AMI guys are friggin' loons. Lunatic fringe. And here we are watching as people are starting to wake up and say, no more. No fricking more are we dealing with that crazy nonsense. And I am so happy, because what could be better than a viable Green Party that actually understands economics? Hell, what could be better than a Republican Party no longer being idiots and talking about proper economics and hating people a little bit less once they realize it's not their hard-earned tax dollars paying for anything? Wow, wouldn't that be something? And how about a Democratic Party, as bad as we despise them, waking up and realizing that Paul Krugman is a charlatan, a fraud, a liar, an idiot, a loser, a microphone abuser, a guy who should never be listened to? And what would happen if Robert Reich no longer lied about debt and deficits? What would happen if Robert Reich did his great little videos where he sits there and sketches shit all over the board, and he sits there and says truth instead of bullshit? Imagine what the world would be like if Bobby Reich sat there and broke out his little magic marker and did things for economic truth, not bullshit, not new Keynesian bullshit. Imagine, just imagine how different the world would be. Imagine how wonderful it would be if we were not dealing in myths and legends, but we all understood the truth, and then we made decisions based on the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's almost unfair to have a debate with people that refuse to accept the underlying truths to determine priorities. But I'm telling you right now, people are waking up across the board. In the Green Party, in the Democratic Party, in the Republican Party, and even in the Libertarian Party. My friend Nima is somebody who I'm going to have on the show sometime. He is a libertarian, and Nima understands MMT. Now, do we agree on everything? Absolutely not. But he understands MMT, and if you at least have the truth, you can deal with different perspectives. But if you're lying and making up stories, imagine being someone that lies, because the truth is out there, lies and says, but what about the fractional reserve system? You know that you're not dealing with someone that's dealing in good faith about economics. So what do you do then? How do you even have a debate with somebody that sits there and ignores the fact that Congress created the Federal Reserve? How do you deal with someone that lies and doesn't acknowledge that Congress itself created the Federal Reserve? How do you deal with someone that doesn't understand that government checks don't bounce? How do you deal with someone that doesn't deal in truth? You can't even start having a conversation about what we could do based on truth because you've got to weed through so many lies, so many myths and legends just to get to a starting point where everybody understands the truth. Imagine dealing with the Republican Party and their only goal is to get what they think is important as opposed to telling you lies about the economy. Imagine teabaggers no longer saying stupid stuff about the government spending money and tax dollars and your hard-earned tax dollars. Imagine if they understood so that we could have a legitimate conversation about priorities. Imagine a world where we don't have to fight about the bullshit lies, but we're just talking about what needs to be done. Imagine that. Now, good, sane people can disagree over what the next step is. You can always disagree about what you think the next step is. But when you fundamentally disagree about the truth, the facts, like, hey, this hand right here, this is my hand. No, it's not your hand. It's somebody else's hand. No, I promise you it's my hand. Can you prove it's your hand? Well, certainly it's attached to my arm. Well, that's not good enough. How do I know it wasn't surgically put there? How do I know it's not from a cadaver? Jesus, good. This is the kind of nonsense we deal with in economics. I mean, I could list names, but I don't think I need to. I think you know who enough of the Cray Cray folks are. I think you know who they are. They got all the Bitcoin stuff in the middle of the night, thinking somehow or another some transaction process is going to usurp a state currency, when all the state has to do is co-opt it and close it down. Bam, instant. None of this matters anyway, because it doesn't give you green energy. It certainly doesn't give you free college, and it most definitely doesn't give you Medicare for all. Okay? It doesn't do any of the things that a New Deal would do, which is requiring state currency to pay for it. So just imagine a world where people are no longer telling lies, no longer telling lies from the tablecloth. No more lies. Okay? We're just dealing in straight truth. Imagine Alex Jones being put out of business because his brand of fairy tales are no longer the soup du jour. Imagine no longer having to listen to the bullshit. And all you get is different flavors of truth from different perspectives, but no more lies. Imagine a world where we don't have to weed through the propaganda. Imagine. Just imagine how wonderful that would be. There is an awful lot. If you read through Marx's material, going way back, if you read Marx, you will understand he had a great many incredible insights as to what was going on with capital. A great many insights as to what was going on with workers and the balance of power between the capitalist and labor. He had a great many good ideas that were fascinating, that were necessary to read, that we should all be aware of. But what he did not do was a good job of explaining that the government is the creator of the currency. So when you hear people that aren't very well read, or they're only well read in Marx, talking about capital flight, it's almost impossible. There is no such thing as capital flight in a free-floating fiat regime. They can't just take the money and be done, because the money doesn't just get static. It's not some like little ball that they can carry with them somewhere. That's not how it works. That money leaves, we fill the demand leakage with more new money. Simple. So that all that capital flight, it's nonsensical. It doesn't have a play in a free-floating fiat regime. So back to Richard Wolff. Back to our friends at these other alternative media sites that claim to be progressive as hell. Let's talk to Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore's a good guy. I met him in D.C. But Jimmy Dore has to learn MMT. He's starting to. I heard it the other night. I don't know how many of y'all heard Jimmy Dore kind of breaking out the whole idea that, quite frankly, the U.S. doesn't have any real constraints other than real resources. This is a beautiful thing. So just remember, when you're looking at Marx, it was more of an assessment of the relationship between labor and capital. It was more a relationship of class and classless, and bringing people into a form of evenness. But that was not about state currency. It had nothing to do with MMT. MMT just is the underlying system. So when people fight against it, what are they doing? They are literally cock-blocking salvation for Puerto Rico. They are literally cock-blocking salvation for the people of Flint, Michigan. And they are literally cock-blocking you and I getting out of student debt. That's what they're doing. There is no value in their acting like they found some blog somewhere that debunks MMT. Oh my God, I found this one blog somewhere. Some guy took it. Oh, it debunks it. Idiot. Idiot. It's time to save lives, folks. It's time to save lives. No more denying, because deniers are killing people and planet. Deniers are killing people and planet. Say it one more time with me. Deniers are killing people and planet, and that is no joke. They are literally killing people. Because think about this. We all, it's so cool, hey, Mom, make me a meatloaf. That's the kind of shit I hear when I hear the people that don't understand MMT talking about it. It's like, yeah, Mom, can you do this? I'm playing a game of Warhammer. I'm playing a game of, Tiberian Sun. Mom. No joke. I mean, you remember those old commercials where the guys are upstairs and the mom goes, Johnny, come on, it's time for dinner. And he goes, I'll be right down, Mom. And he puts the J out. I mean, that's what we're talking about. It's time to save lives. It's time to save lives. It's time to bring the deniers on board or shame them out of existence. Because we cannot allow people to die anymore. Tiberian Sun, Command and Conquer. It's a great game, actually. I'm mocking it because I know it, sadly. But anyway, the truth of the matter is, when you go to these places and they call it a cult, they are a lethal sect of idiot. They're a lethal sect of idiot. They are a part of the idiocracy that you see in those movies. They are the people that literally you can't count on for anything. And that is sad. And that makes up a large part of social media. I don't know if that makes a large part of the rest of the world. I'm fingers crossed that it doesn't. Fingers crossed that the idiocy is left largely on social media. So when you get out in public, those fools don't have as much power, because God help us all if that's the case. Let me tell you something about Paul Krugman. Have you ever seen a movement for Paul Krugman? Have you ever seen people, Paul Krugman, yeah, I love Kruggles, yeah, Paul Krugman. You never seen it. You never seen it. Why is that? Because he has nothing to offer. Nothing. Everything he says is bullshit. Every model he uses is bullshit. Everything. He's like Dale. My name's Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm not a NASCAR driver, but I play one on TV. That's what Paul Krugman is. Well, I'm not an economist, but you know what? These fools over here think I am. So, Ali, give me a Nobel Peace Prize and call me happy. That's Paul Krugman. Just about as charlatan as you can get. Because when the Democrat's in office, he's all about the deficits. But when a Republican comes in, all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, debt deficits. And guess what? The vote blue sycophants do. The vote blue sycophants go, debt and deficits, oh my God, we got to reduce. Did you know Obama reduced the deficit? Did you know Obama reduced the deficit? Yay, team. Did you know Bill Clinton reduced the deficit and he had a balanced budget? No, he had a surplus. In other words, he sucked our life out of us. He ended welfare as we knew it and put the personal responsibility, that right-wing garbage. Then they tried to go ahead and make it even more difficult to file bankruptcy. And then he got rid of Glass-Steagall. But vote blue sycophants look at Bill Clinton as Jesus Christ of the left. Well, let me tell you something, Bubba. You're a parasite, and you destroyed our country more than any other president, including Ronnie Reagan. How do you like that one? Okay? So the bottom line is, we're building momentum. We're going to have a progressive agenda, folks. Stop worrying about where the party is. Don't worry about the party. Focus on the issues. Let's build the momentum. Fuck these politicians. Don't worry about them. If they can't get in line, then they aren't worth your time. You hear me? We can say that. That's one of those chants you're walking down the street. If they can't get in line, they aren't worth your time. If you can't get in line, they aren't worth your time. The people united will never be defeated. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. The people united will never be defeated. That's what I'm talking about. And if we unite about truth, then we can demand these sap-sucking politicians listen to us regardless of party. Do you understand what I'm saying? Regardless of party, it doesn't matter what they do. At the end of the day, if we are united and we spread truth, they will listen to us. They will listen to us. This is what Grumbine's all about. I don't care what party they're in. I will make demands of Donald Trump, and I will make demands of Hillary Clinton, and I will make demands of every stinking one of them in there. Because, damn it, they are in there to make choices, even if they're bought and paid for. But if they see an angry mob outside their office, they are going to take notice. They are going to take notice. But if we sit back and go, oh, well, you know, what about the debt? What about inflation, man? Inflation. Milton Friedman, quantity theory of money. It is dead. It is debunked. It is gold standard logic. It is idiocy. The thing that causes inflation, my friends, so we're all on the same page, is a lack of resources to meet demand. If we've got more money and we've got more demand, damn it, businesses, what do you do, businesses? That's right, we get the production going. We got the production going, sir. Oh, yes, that's exactly correct, sir. You get the goddamn production ramped up to meet demand. Oh, we don't want their money. We want to cause inflation there, Bubba. We're not interested in making no more money. Come on. I mean, think about how foolish that is. Hey, we got this demand here, but we're not going to meet it because we want to build inflation. Think about this. Right now, we have got the opportunity of a lifetime. The opportunity of a lifetime to save lives as a team, as a global movement. Do you realize that this isn't just the United States? This is Europe. This is South America. This is Australia. This is Japan. This is the UK. This is everywhere. This is our opportunity. This is our opportunity, folks, to create that mass movement and win big for our children and save our planet. Get on your surfboard and catch this wave. You know what I'm saying? Get on this. And let's do it. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great night, everybody.